would be cold.
Okay.
You guys can feel free to move around, get up, move around, walk around the outside of the boat. Just stay on this deck. When we get to Lighthouse, we're gonna ask everybody to sit back down for us to dock, but otherwise, you guys can move around whatever you want. No time, anything.
Really cold.
Wind is too much for anyone. You can shut the doors, stick up to the boat.
I wish it was sunny. It would be nice and warm.
Gather all your things. Gather all your things. So they're like,
So we couldn't even all sit down.
but
Did you watch your phone?
Oh yeah. Call my friends about the haunted lighthouse I went and saw.
Of course. So around the, we gotta go on a park.
Where's the ladder? I think people can stay there. I think that's what they were talking about. So there's a couple people are staying.
Yeah, well, I know that, a lot of places.
What are you talking about? The red part or the...
This one,
The ocean gets that high. Well, they're going to ask us to go in.
it even has its own address.
I think that was the year it was built.
Is it? Oh, is it 19?
I wonder if
Okay.
they get U.S. mail.
1909, is that the year?
I'm not sure, I think.
That's...
I thought it was 9. I thought it was 9.
That's that castle lighthouse. That's it. We just came.
Which one? We should get
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we need you to take a seat so we can dock the boat safely.
Lighthouse reviews past, looks so good. You know, the white was all white, base that looked like this. Bricks, blueprints, it looked pretty. Yeah, it was London Historic Society or something.
Once you get up on the first floor, if you hit the second floor, it's right there, the first grade. Everything in the video, she's out of the road, pictures on the wall. Video, so you can link the two together.
Foundation. We are a nonprofit organization. The foghorn and the light at the top are actually powered by solar panels. The solar panels charge batteries that keep the foghorn and the light going. You will notice that the foghorn is around that corner, and I just want to warn you guys over there. It seems to be clearing off, but it is known to just go off at random. And you know, even on a clear day, you never know. There are stories that go with this lighthouse that about things that paranormal things that might happen. So you never know. You never know. So I will tell you really quickly a little bit how it was built. A large box was actually built over in Groton. It was floated out to this spot and it was sunk. It was filled with rocks, and then they poured concrete on top of that. And then the base of the light was that you're standing on. This great big base of the light was actually built, and then they built the house up on top of that. There's actually a basement here. It's all even when you're down in the basement, you are above water level, so you see that. Now another interesting thing is that each corner of the lighthouse actually faces the 4 points of the compass. So if you walk around, you can see which direction you're facing. Now the lighthouse that I mentioned is owned by the Coast Guard, but the New London Lighthouse Foundation does lease it from them so that we're able to come out and give these tours. Obviously the Coast Guard's is busy, so they wouldn't be able to come out and do all these tours, so we do that. We do accept donations. I know you paid for your trip out here. That mostly pays for the boat, the transportation, and the gas. So we do have donation boxes inside. If you feel like giving us a donation so we can keep doing this, we gladly accept it. All the people out here are volunteers. Mike here, myself, and you'll see other people in there with name tags on. So you feel free to ask us a question. If any of you are local and you'd like to volunteer, you can look into that or ask us, and we can tell you how you can do that. Now, I will mention that the landing, there is a rope there. We ask nobody to go down those steps until the boat comes back and we want to board you. Be careful where there are chains around here because it is not as sturdy, and we don't want anybody going over. That wouldn't be a good thing. I told you about the foghorn already, so just be careful about that. And they did mention the bathroom on the boat. Emergency. It is an incinerator toilet, so it's a little bit tricky. You have to follow directions exactly. If you want help, just search one of us out. I've never actually used it, but there are step-by-step instructions on it. The windows, they're very old, very heavy. We ask nobody to try and lift them or open them. They'll come down, they'll get your hand. They don't have any springs in them, so we ask nobody to mess with the windows. Now this is a self-guided tour. We do have a video upstairs. It's about 18 minutes. It seats about 14 people, so you can do it in shifts, and we'll call when we're ready for the next people. But we'll ask about 14 people to go on up straight to the video so they can get started watching it. The video pretty much tells you everything you want to know. And then, as I said, the rest of the tour is self-guided. You can go all the way up to the lens room. We ask that you don't go onto the roof, but you would have to like climb through railings, and you probably wouldn't want to do that anyway, but we just ask that you not do that. And there'll be somebody up there that can point out things in the area. It might be my son Joe, so if you see Joe, say, "Hi Joe." We do have a little gift shop inside. We sell a few little things, so you're welcome to look at that. We actually do take credit cards, a little nifty device that plugs into our cell phone. And we have a guest book in this first room right here. And we ask everybody to sign it so we know where you came from. Tell us how you liked the tour. Are we all set inside? All right, so we welcome you into New London Ledge Lighthouse. And it turned out to be a really beautiful day, so come on in. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention, guys, but any door that is not locked, you're welcome to look in. If it says do not enter, then do not enter. Otherwise, you're welcome to go through. And I think that they're probably the max capacity on that video.
Sit patiently, it'll start all on its own. I'm going to go upstairs, bring on the up to the lens. If for some reason there's a problem, reach out. Otherwise, it's basically just little. It said 8 minutes to go. Okay. I didn't know it started on right from the beginning. I thought you still had to wait.
Up again?
Onto the Lighthouse. There's a thing about the haunted stuff.
Somebody already.
The haunted house. What?
Where are you? Where's the first room?
Oh, I barely fit.
Poor guy Joe.
Watch out, it might be a little slippery.
Pointy things to keep seagulls off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Scary.
Not leaning on this
Look
railing.
at this. Isn't that pretty? And there's the lighthouse and Ocean Beach.
So he's
And Ocean Beach. Then over that's Ocean Beach. Yeah. And then on the other side is Waterford Town. I've heard that before.
door.
Huh.
Close to the, but yeah, I think you're correct. Thank you.
All soft. When you've been out at sea in a storm, you know what that lighthouse means. It says, you are home. You are safe.
It is a point on a nautical chart, a fixed location in space. Latitude 41 degrees, 18 minutes north, longitude 72 degrees, 5 minutes west. It is a building, a man-made island out in the middle of the sea, an aid to navigation whose four corners mark the points of the compass. It is a remote place of haunting beauty, a home to men, a place of dreams. It is a lonely sentinel off the shores of New London and Groton, gateway to the Thames River. For 100 years, Ledge Light's beacon has shone through the darkness, guiding mariners to safety. Its story begins at the start of the 20th century. The port of New London was changing from one of sailing ships to a growing harbor with new industries and more boats. The Lighthouse service realized the harbor light was blocked by land. The ships approaching the mouth of the Thames River needed another light to guide them safely in. In 1903, they recommended a second light be built out in Fisher's Island Sound. Along with Race Rock and Harbor Light, the new lighthouse would mark the safe passage to New London. were simple metal cans, easy to make, easy to move into position, easy to assemble. The two wealthy, powerful men of the area, Edwin Harkness with his estate in Waterford, and Morton Plant, building his on Avery Point in Groton, used their influence to ask for something prettier to look at, something that would reflect the grandeur of their own homes and the elegance of the era. The architects went to work. The style they came up with was a mix of colonial revival and Second Empire French. The famous builder Thomas Scott created the underwater foundation, a remarkable engineering feat. Upon this sturdy base, the Douglas Company of New London built the lighthouse itself. The designs and the architects became reality out in the sea. Ledge Light is unique. There is no other lighthouse like it. It was completed in 1909. Inside, a dramatic stairway leads to heavy walled rooms. Windows from the living quarters to the tower to the lantern room at the very top look out to spectacular views of the surrounding land and sea. A fourth order Fresnel lens made in Paris was installed. Its beacon could be seen for 18 miles. Ledge Lighthouse was ready to serve. The keepers moved in.
I'm Doug Allen. I serve as a relief lightkeeper. The life of a keeper, you should be fairly self-sufficient. You're out there for 2 or 3 weeks. If you don't like to read, if you don't have a musical instrument, it can be pretty boring. Our routine, the lenses had to be cleaned every day. Brass was polished when it needed it. The light itself was electric. It was just a great big switch that you flipped and the light came on. As far as the rotation of the light, it was a giant cuckoo clock. Every 3 hours, you had to climb the tower and with a big crank, wind the weight back up. That's what kept the light turning. Hobbies, aside from music, we did have the occasional artist. Guys built models a lot, usually of Coast Guard ships, very intricate models to fill their time. I enjoyed fishing, so of course fishing off Ledge Light was just wonderful. Meals became very important to us. That was a high point of the day. We all sat down at the same time for the evening meal. We were always trying to be inventive when it came to cooking.
My name is Lorraine Allen, and my husband Doug was a keeper at Ledge Light. I think part of the agony of the situation was that I could be on Pequot Avenue and look over and see him, know that he was in that building, know that he was doing the job. But here I am on shore. We were newlyweds, and I was in a town where I didn't really know anyone. And so he was sort of my anchor, and my anchor was in the middle of the harbor. And I would, mentally wave to him and send him my thoughts, and miss him terribly. Just miss him terribly.
You are a prisoner of the light. It was kind of lonely. We were all young and everybody thought about home, whether they were married or had sweethearts or just wanted to spend time with family. I used to write her a letter every day. We always had a calendar where you're marking off the days so you could see that the end was always in sight.
According to legend, for one keeper, Ledge Light was a tragic place. The story goes that in the 1920s or 30s, a keeper named Ernie heard one day that his wife had run off with the captain of one of the Block Island ferries. Left behind, Ernie could only brood. One day, according to the legend, Ernie snapped. He climbed the stairs, went out to the roof, walked to the edge, and jumped. His body was never found. They say Ernie's business with Ledge Light is not finished. They say Ernie haunts the lighthouse to this day. Some hear strange whispering. A foghorn comes on when it's sunny. Boats become untied. Strange things happen on Ledge Light. It's hard to find Ernie in the historical records, but it hardly matters. Ernie is a part of the folklore of the lighthouse, part of what makes Ledge Light unique. He's as real as we want him to be.
Much as I love New London Ledge Light, and I know that there's been talk of trying to get the lens back out to the light, I love the fact that it's at the Customs House, and a lot of people can see it. They're works of art. They're more than just functional. The lighthouses are such great architectural works, and there's so many different kinds. Right in the New London Fisher's Island area, you've got lighthouses that were built basically out of metal caissons, like Latimer's Reef and Orient Light. You have beautiful stonework at Grace Rock. New London Ledge, to my knowledge, is the only one built in the French Revival style. No matter where you looked, you had these great views. Whether it was one of those crystal clear halcyon days when you could see Montauk, or just enough mist to hide most of New London, the birds flying around, I don't think anyone could not help but be moved by what you saw out there. Sometimes it might relieve some of your loneliness, sometimes it would accent it, because you realize that you weren't sharing this with anybody. Out on the light itself, you swear that during a storm you could feel the light move when the waves hit. Whether that really happens or not, I don't know, but that's what it felt like. I loved hearing the foghorn. Sleeping, you would get used to it. In fact, as officer in charge, if all of a sudden the foghorn stopped, I'd be wide awake. When you're out and you've got one of those New England snowstorms when there is no wind at all, and you get down close to the water, you can hear the snowflakes hit the water, and especially with the light, you have this dome around you, and it feels like somebody's shaking you up in a snowball. I do think that the job will be needed for a long time. Your GPS can go down, your batteries can go dead. The lighthouse is going to be there.
Ledge Light faced its biggest challenge in September of 1938, when a huge hurricane swept across New England with sudden violence. men at the light could only look on in shock as the wind and seas attacked. Huge waves rolled in. Water came in the front door. Men fled to higher floors. The waves grew bigger, hitting the second floor. The keeper climbed higher. The men went all the way to the lantern room where they looked out at a nightmare. They kept the light lit, helping boats caught in the storm. Through the worst catastrophe the area has ever seen, Ledge Lighthouse did its job. In 1987, after 78 years, Ledge Light was automated. The keepers left. The lighthouse was abandoned, left to the wind and waves, ice and rain. Keepers no longer take care of the routine daily maintenance. No windows are cleaned, no brass polished, no leaks patched. The men who gave this building life are gone. Keepers no longer look out these windows at storms or sunset. Loneliness no longer looms.
Seeing the lighthouse now abandoned and knowing the amount of work that was done every day by the crew to keep it spotless. I mean, not only were you inspected and was it expected, but you were sort of in competition with your other friends on other lighthouses, and you wanted to be the prettiest, the best, the cleanest, the shiniest.
These empty rooms echo with the memories of the men who served here. Nobody climbs these stairs from the deep, dark basement. Nobody fishes at these railings anymore. They say Ernie haunts this lighthouse, but there are ghosts everywhere.
Seeing the way it looks now saddens me terribly, because you have to think of all the people from 1909 onward who took care of that light, who took pride in how it looked on the inside and the outside, who knew how valuable the service that lighthouse provided. Their memory should not be lost or forgotten. To lose something of this historical importance, human importance and human effort, simply through neglect or apathy is, I think, criminal.
Ledge Light's only keepers now are spiders. It has become a ghost, alone at sea, lifeless. What is Ledge Lighthouse's future? Will it slowly crumble away to be replaced someday by a steel tower? Or does a brighter future lie ahead?
I don't think New London can afford to lose such a beautiful lighthouse. As far as restoration goes, if it's possible to turn a lighthouse into a museum, giving people a peek into not just the past, but into the job that they continue to do. One of the things in not manning the lights is that you no longer have those eyes out there scanning the horizon, looking for boats that are in trouble. The importance of a lighthouse to this day is to guide you into the harbor. The series of lights here in New London are the best examples of lights which take you right into the harbor. They all work together, and they all line up in such a way that if you can see those lights, you know you're home.
I always get a thrill when I see Ledgelight. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful building. I'm in awe of the people who built it. It's a beautiful introduction to New London Harbor. It's unique. It's an icon in this area. I think it should be preserved.
From men in storm to the storms in men, to the keepers who serve the light and have become its ghosts. Ledge Light is a place full of history, a place abandoned, waiting for the next chapter in its story. For a century, this lighthouse has helped guide us home. Now, it is we who must help it. We are Ledge Lighthouse's keepers now, and it's up to us to guide it safely to its future.
I remember an old bosun's mate who taught me navigation, pointing to the stars and the constellations and talking about the lighthouses in the sky. And he said, as long as you can see those stars, you're not going to get lost. As long as you can see the lighthouse, you know you're home and you know you're safe.
Yeah, I wonder if they had a boat.
Oh yeah, they had a boat.
Because I mean, yeah, it's just like, imagine being stuck out here and being...
I would think so. And it's so cool. It's too bad that it's deteriorating.
What?
Yeah.
Lighthouse with a spiral staircase. Yeah. There's windows in it, and a lot of the windows have this white, it's just mineral that's seeping through the concrete.
jump in, take this rope, and pull us to shore.
Okay. Right, she's that.
Ice club by the time I finished.
I didn't have kids wear, so I was going. It was cold out there. Yeah. We only had to go for 10 minutes.